My roommate secretly despised women, yet she obsessively built a persona as a girl's girl. To everyone's face, she would say, "I just love being around pretty girls. Men can stay away. Your girlfriend is so cute. I wish she was my wife." But behind their backs, I think she's just average. The main issue is she's a bit. Whatever, are all girls like this? Hard to say. She's basically soft porn bait, isn't she? Girls like that are absolutely disgusting. What she didn't know was, I was the campus whistleblower, and I was going to live stream her judgment to the entire school. I had just started the live stream and adjusted the hidden camera when Chloe, our university's beloved girl, stormed into our dorm room and slapped me hard across the face. "Chloe, what are you doing?" "Lexi, that Hermes bag you lent me was fake, wasn't it? Do you have any idea how humiliated I was today? I was hanging out with a star quarterback's new girlfriend, that little slut, and she actually had the nerve to suggest my bag might be a fake. She told me I got scammed and told me to get it authenticated at a boutique." I touched my stinging, red cheek and subtly adjusted the camera pin to my collar. "Chloe, I never said my bag was real." Hearing me confirm it was fake, Chloe's fury exploded. First, she dumped everything inside her purse onto my desk. Then, she threw my fake Hermes bag onto the floor and viciously stomped on it repeatedly. While stomping, she screamed at me, "If it was fake, why didn't you say so? You did this on purpose to humiliate me, didn't you? Lexi, how does a manipulative, calculating bitch like you even get into grad school? Being your roommate is the worst luck of my entire life. Girls like you make me sick." I bent down and picked up the fake Hermes bag, now covered in dirty footprints. "Chloe, first of all, regardless of whether this bag is real or fake, I never agreed to lend it to you. You went through my closet without my permission and took it." Chloe rolled her eyes aggressively. "If I knew it was fake, I wouldn't have even looked at it. You are so pathetic and vain. If you can't afford the real thing, don't buy it. Buying a fake just to flex is disgusting. I'm going to take a shower. Let me use your shower card. I have a party to go to tonight, and I refuse to be outdressed by the girlfriends those guys are bringing." I didn't argue. I quietly handed my prepaid shower card to Chloe. Once Chloe entered the bathroom, I picked up my phone to check the live stream. The chat was going absolutely insane. "Wait, what? This is what Chloe is like behind closed doors. Someone tell me this is scripted. Isn't Chloe famous for her girls supporting girls, gentle older sister aesthetic? I'm the girl she hung out with today. She complimented me 100 times to my face, but she's calling me a slut behind my back. So her whole girl's girl persona is a total fraud? She actually hates women." I let out a cold smirk and pasted a pre-written message into the live chat. "Hello everyone, I am the campus whistleblower, Lexi, and also Chloe's roommate. Starting today, I will be exposing the hidden, ugly truth behind Chloe's fake, girl's girl persona. Please keep an eye on this channel, as I will go live whenever necessary. Warning. Until these broadcasts are fully concluded, everyone is strictly forbidden from discussing this outside of this live stream. Act like nothing is happening. If Chloe finds out about this broadcast, I will terminate the stream immediately, and you will be selected as the next target for a live expose." Driven by human nature's insatiable thirst for drama and the sheer terror of becoming my next target, the students in the chat frantically promised absolute secrecy. Half an hour later, Chloe finished her shower. She carelessly tossed the shower card onto my lap. "Oops, guess I used it all up. The balance is 0. You'll just have to skip your shower tonight. Not that it matters, you always smell like cheap soap anyway." After her little jab, she let out a condescending giggle and started tearing through her closet looking for an outfit. "I've already worn all these designer dresses. The 4 most popular guys on campus are going to be at this party tonight. I can't be seen wearing last season's clothes. These off-brand ones aren't good enough either." As she complained, she suddenly turned to look at me. "Lexi, didn't your mom buy you a Dior dress for your birthday last month? That one should be real, right?" I nodded. She walked over, looping her arm over my shoulder with a fake, sugary smile. "Lexi, let me borrow it tonight. I promise I won't ruin it. Just consider it compensation for humiliating me today." I reached into the very back of my closet and pulled out a garment bag. Just as Chloe's eyes lit up and she reached out to snatch it, I lifted it out of her reach.
SeneviratneTahira.
"Chloe, you can borrow the dress, but you have to take me to the party tonight. Deal?" Chloe froze. Seeing her hesitation, I explained. "I've been really stressed lately. I just want to relax and have some fun." She looked me up and down with an incredibly hostile, judgmental glare. "I guess you can come, but you better watch what you say, and don't you dare ruin my image." I knew exactly what she meant. Our university's grad school dorms only housed 2 students per room. At first, Chloe kept up her act around me. But as we spent more time alone, she couldn't maintain the facade 24/7, so she eventually stopped trying. Her psychotic, two-faced nature was something only I knew about. But now, I tapped the hidden camera on my collar. I wasn't the only one who knew anymore. I nodded obediently, promising I wouldn't say anything stupid. Satisfied, Chloe took my designer dress and sat down to do her makeup. I took the opportunity to glance at the livestream chat. I'm going to that party tonight, and I seriously don't know if I can hold myself back from slapping her. You better hold it back. I want to keep watching this. If you can't hold back, don't go. I'll go instead. I have the patience of a saint. I'm actually kind of heartbroken. It feels like watching my favorite character turn into the evil villain. Chloe did her makeup relatively quickly. Within half an hour, she was fully dolled up, rocking her signature, gentle, supportive older sister vibe. Right before we left, she looked at my completely bare face. Lexi, why don't I do your makeup for you? You look so plain. It's going to make me look like I'm trying way too hard. I agreed, and Chloe started painting my face. Lexi, you're so pale you look like a ghost. Let's use a darker foundation to warm you up. She pumped out a massive amount of the darkest, orangest shade she had and slathered it all over my face. When she finished the base, I looked at my muddy, orange face and laughed internally. Let's do the trendy, Asian baby girl makeup for your eyes. She grabbed a hyperpigmented, neon eyeshadow palette and aggressively packed color onto my eyelids. Perfect. So gorgeous. Now, let's finish it with a bright red lip. She laughed as she admired her work. You look so good you could literally debut as a pop star right now. Really? Does it look that good? I stood up and walked over to the full-length mirror, making sure the live stream audience got a crystal clear look at the masterpiece she had created. Knowing Chloe's actual aesthetic, there is a 0% chance she genuinely thinks that looks good. Considering Chloe's own makeup skills, there's no way she could only manage to do that. She intentionally made Lexi look like a clown. I knew she was a bitch, but I didn't know she was this much of a bitch. Ugh. She called me wifey once, and now I want to throw up. Chloe stood behind me, smiling so hard her face looked like it might crack. Lexi, I've never seen you look so stunning. I bet tons of guys are going to ask for your number tonight. At 10 p.m., inside the VIP room of Club X. The moment Chloe walked into the booth, she started screeching with exaggerated excitement. Wifey, it's been so long. You look even prettier. OMG, Brandon, you got a new girlfriend? She's so cute. She looks so soft and sweet. Can I hug her? You guys know I have zero resistance to pretty girls. I just love being around pretty girls. Men can stay away. Chloe's voice dominated the entire room. But the room didn't give her the reaction she wanted, because every single pair of eyes was glued to me. They didn't say a word, but I could clearly read the profound pity in their eyes. Oh, right. I brought a friend today. Another super gorgeous girl. This is Lexi, my roommate. If any of you guys are single, you can ask for her Snapchat. Don't bother asking for mine. I only want to hang out with the girls tonight. Chloe dragged me right under the harsh, unflattering overhead light so everyone could get a clear view of my neon, muddy face. Meanwhile, she stood in the soft, flattering ambient light, casually tossing her hair, oozing calculated charm. I played exactly the role she wanted me to play, standing awkwardly, looking deeply uncomfortable and insecure. After ensuring she was the center of attention, Chloe stepped back into her caring older sister role to rescue me. Wait, really? Nobody wants her Snapchat? You guys are so rude. You aren't considering a girl's feelings at all. Lexi, just sit next to me. We don't need to hang out with these smelly guys anyway. Once she sat down, Chloe didn't look at me for a single second. She began hunting for her next target, meticulously maintaining her persona. Taking advantage of the distraction, I pulled out my phone and checked the stream. I must have been legally blind. How did I not see through her fake, toxic, pick-me energy? Did she spray herself with green tea perfume before she left? Because she is the ultimate two-faced bitch. Note: green tea is Chinese internet slang for a manipulative, two-faced woman who pretends to be innocent. Someone posted on the campus forum before that Chloe was fake, and I argued with them for 3 days straight defending her. Looking back, I deserve to die. I want to die more. For my birthday 2 days ago, I literally wished to be more like Chloe. Is it too late to take that back? Poor commenter above. Let's hope that's the one wish in your life that doesn't come true. Just as I was about to lock my phone, a private DM popped up. Lexi, come to the restroom. I need to talk to you. I looked around the room. I didn't see anyone missing from the booth. And more importantly, I remembered explicitly turning off the DM feature for this broadcast. Who was this? How were they able to DM me? My heart skipped a beat. I clicked on their profile. It was completely blank. Obviously a burner account. Lexi, we're gonna play a drinking game. Wanna join? Chloe suddenly leaned in, startling me. I quickly locked my phone, looking flustered. You guys go ahead, Chloe. I need to use the restroom. The second I stood up, Chloe immediately slid into my seat. As I turned to close the booth door, I realized that the seat on the other side of my spot was occupied by two extremely attractive guys. Chloe. Even her fake concern was entirely transactional. Thank you for proving you are rotten to the core. It makes exposing you feel so much better. The second I pushed the restroom door open, someone grabbed me and yanked me inside. When I got a clear look at her face, I was shocked. Sydney? It's me. Sydney was a notoriously wealthy heiress at our university. In last year's campus queen election, she lost to Chloe by exactly 1 vote. Not only did the heiress gracefully accept defeat, but when the organizers reviewed the ballots, they discovered Sydney had actually cast her own vote for Chloe. The campus went wild, and a massive group of students started shipping the elegant campus queen Chloe and the wealthy heiress Sydney. This is the first time in my life I completely misjudged someone. From her tone, it was obvious Sydney was deeply disturbed by the fact that she had voted for Chloe. I couldn't stay in the restroom for long, and I didn't have time to listen to Sydney's emotional journey, so I cut straight to the chase. Why did you bring me here? Sydney pulled a makeup wipe out of her designer bag and tossed it to me. Take off that garbage. I'm doing your makeup. She started pulling luxury cosmetics out of her bag, lining them up on the sink counter. That was when I noticed the bag she was carrying. It was the exact same model as the one I had lent Chloe yesterday. Except Sydney's was undeniably authentic, while the one Chloe borrowed was a fake. Why did Sydney bring this specific bag tonight? To slap Chloe in the face with reality and confront her? If she did that, she would blow my cover and ruin the live stream. I stopped her hand and pushed the makeup wipe back toward her bag. I don't need new makeup. And please remember the rules of my broadcast. Thank you. I turned to walk out. Lexi, are you curious why I was able to DM you even though you disabled the feature? Her words stopped me in my tracks. I turned back, my eyes narrowing in suspicion. Are you also a truth seeker for this world? As I spoke, I temporarily scrambled the live stream signal, cutting the feed. Sydney froze for 2 seconds, looking at me in total confusion. What are you talking about? Truth. I quickly cut her off. Nothing. Just a nickname I gave myself. Tell me, how did you message me? Because. Sydney leaned close to my ear and whispered, let me redo your makeup and I'll tell you. My eyelid twitched violently. I had the distinct feeling I was being played. We've wasted too much time already. You have 5 minutes. The second I agreed, Sydney ripped open a wipe and aggressively started scrubbing the neon mud off my face. While she did, I restored the live stream feed. Why did it go black just now? I stepped away for a second. Why is Sydney doing Lexi's makeup? Didn't she just say no? Well, Sydney already looks way more professional than Chloe. Lexi's skin tone actually looks normal now. It's not about being more professional. Chloe intentionally made Lexi look hideous. When are they going back to the booth? I need to know what Chloe is doing right now. I'm in the booth. I'll tell you, she's playing a drinking game and holding some other girl's boyfriend's hand.
Ugh.
I wish I was there to see the drama in person. This 5-minute wait feels like a lifetime. 5 minutes later, Sydney snapped her fingers. Perfect. Now you actually look like a star. I turned around and looked in the mirror. Sydney definitely knew what she was doing. I was almost shocked. The girl in the mirror barely looked like me. OMG, Lexi is actually gorgeous with proper makeup. I think she's prettier than Chloe. And the heiress used actual high-end products. Chloe deliberately used cheap, dollar store trash on Lexi. Can Sydney mail me her hands so I can use them to do my makeup? You aren't committed enough. I'd gladly mail my whole head to the heiress so she could do my makeup. I locked my phone and looked at Sydney. Makeup's done. Talk. Sydney smirked. It's simple. The live streaming app you're using was developed by my family's tech company. Having them grant me an override access was nothing. Makes sense. And here I thought Sydney belonged to the TR organization, a fellow truth seeker like me. All right, business is concluded. I'm heading back. Who said we're done? I'm going back to the booth with you. I frowned deeply. Why are you going in there? If you're planning to confront Chloe, now is not the time. Her true malice hasn't fully surfaced yet. Confronting her now is a waste. Sydney clicked her tongue, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me toward the door. You're overthinking it. Why would I bother confronting her? But if you want to trigger the deepest, darkest malice hiding inside her, I have an idea. What idea? Sydney didn't answer. She dragged me all the way down the hall, stopped in front of our booth, and violently kicked the door open. The heavy oak door of the VIP booth hit the wall with a deafening crack, cutting sharply through the muffled thud of the club's bass. Every head in the room snapped toward the entrance. There stood Sydney, effortlessly draped in an aura of generational wealth, holding the door open. And stepping in right beside her was me. The silence in the booth was instantaneous and profound. Chloe, who had been mid-laugh while intimately resting her hand on a lacrosse player's knee, froze. Her mouth hung open slightly. The sugary, girl's girl smile melted off her face, replaced by a look of sheer, unadulterated panic, before she forced the mask back on with terrifying speed. But I saw the twitch in her left eye. And more importantly, so did the live stream. Sydney, Chloe shrieked, her voice an octave higher than usual. OMG, what a surprise. I didn't know you were coming to this party. She scrambled up from the leather sofa, her eyes frantically darting from Sydney to me, clearly trying to process the fact that the muddy, neon orange disaster she had painted on my face was gone. In its place was a flawless, razor-sharp makeup look that completely elevated my features. Sydney casually strolled into the room, her authentic Hermes bag swinging gently by her side. I wasn't planning on it, Sydney drawled, taking a seat directly in the center of the booth, forcing two guys to scramble out of her way. But I ran into Lexi in the restroom. We had a lovely chat. I just had to come say hi to my favorite campus queen. Sydney's eyes locked onto Chloe's. The tension was thick enough to choke on. I sat down next to Sydney, perfectly angling my collar, so the hidden lens had a wide-angle view of Chloe's deteriorating composure. While Lexi, one of the guys sitting across from us, a junior named Mark who had completely ignored me 10 minutes ago, leaned forward. I didn't even recognize you. You look incredible. Yeah, another guy chimed in. Seriously, you look stunning. Chloe's knuckles turned white. She stood awkwardly in the center of the booth, no longer the center of attention. Every pair of eyes that had been glued to her was now fixed on me. I know, right? Chloe suddenly shouted, clapping her hands together. I literally told her she was gorgeous. I did her makeup before we left, but I guess it got smudged. Huh? Sydney, did you fix it for her? You're such an angel. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. Sydney let out a soft, mocking laugh. Fix it? Chloe, whatever you put on her face looked like it was applied with a paint roller in the dark. I had to scrub it off with industrial wipes. A few guys in the booth snickered. Chloe's face flushed crimson. Damn. Sydney does not hold back. The heiress is out for blood tonight. I am seated. I have popcorn. Chloe's face just glitched. I swear to God, she looked like she wanted to murder Sydney. Notice how Chloe immediately tried to take credit for Lexi looking good? Pathological. Oh, stop, you're exaggerating. Chloe forced a giggle, desperately trying to reclaim her narrative. She squeezed herself into the tight space between Sydney and me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. I'm just so happy my wifey is getting the attention she deserves. I always say there is nothing I love more than seeing my girls shine. Is that right? Sydney asked casually. She reached for a glass of champagne on the table, because that's not what I heard. The booth went dead quiet again. Chloe's grip on my shoulder tightened until her manicured nails dug painfully into my skin. What do you mean, Sid? Nothing. Sydney took a sip of her drink, smiling over the rim of the glass. Just a rumor. Chloe swallowed hard. I could feel her body radiating anxious heat. To distract everyone, she quickly reached for a full glass of red wine from the table. Anyway, let's play a game, Chloe announced, lifting the glass. But as she turned toward me, her foot suddenly slipped. The glass of red wine tipped forward, plunging in a deadly arc straight toward my white Dior dress. It was a classic, deliberate move. Spoil the dress, ruin the look, humiliate the target, and apologize profusely while playing the clumsy victim. But before the wine could even leave the glass, a solid object slammed into Chloe's wrist. Smack. The wine sloshed backward, splashing violently all over Chloe's own chest, staining her pale pink designer corset a dark, bloody crimson. Ah! Chloe shrieked, jumping back. Sydney calmly lowered her bag. She had used her authentic Hermes to block Chloe's arm. Oh my god, Chloe, I am so sorry, Sydney said, her tone absolutely devoid of apology. You tripped. I was just trying to catch you. Good thing my bag was there, otherwise you would have ruined Lexi's Dior dress. Chloe was hyperventilating, staring at the massive red stain blooming across her
chest.
My top. This is a custom piece. Sydney, your bag is covered in wine. It's fine, Sydney said, carelessly wiping a drop of wine off the leather. It's real leather. It wipes right off. Not like those cheap synthetic fakes. That stain instantly. You know the ones, right, Chloe? Chloe's breath hitched. Her eyes darted wildly. The implication hit her like a freight train. She knew Sydney knew about the fake bag. The Hermes block. Put this in the Louvre. Sydney basically just told her my bag costs more than your life, and I will use it as a shield to destroy you. Did you guys see Chloe's face when Sydney mentioned fake bags? Shaking. She 100% threw that wine on purpose. The jealousy is rotting her from the inside out. I need to go to the bathroom and clean this up, Chloe stammered, tears of genuine frustration welling in her eyes. The perfect older sister facade was cracking at the seams. Let me go with you, I said, standing up. I offered her a gentle, concerned smile. Us girls have to stick together, right? Chloe glared at me with a hatred so pure it could have burned a hole through steel.
No.
I'm fine. Stay here. She turned and practically ran out of the booth. The second the door closed, Sydney leaned back and laughed. Too easy. You pushed her too fast, I muttered under my breath, checking my collar camera to make sure it was still aligned. If she snaps now, she'll just play the victim. Trust me, Lexi. I know her type, Sydney replied softly, leaning in close so the boys across the table couldn't hear. She's not going to play the victim. She's going to escalate. Her ego can't handle losing control of a room. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Sydney hooked my phone up to the club's security feeds. Chloe isn't in the bathroom. I glanced at Sydney. She tapped her Apple Watch and subtly nodded toward the
door.
I'm going to grab a drink from the main bar, I announced to the room. I slipped out of the booth and navigated the dark, thumping corridors of the
club.
Using the directions Sydney sent me, I bypassed the main dance floor and headed toward the quieter, secluded VIP lounge areas in the back. As I approached the end of the hallway, I heard it, Chloe's voice. But it wasn't the sweet, high-pitched tone she used in the booth. It was low, raspy, and dripping with venom. I pressed myself against the wall, peering around the corner. My hidden camera had a perfect view. Chloe was standing in a dim alcove, aggressively pinning a guy against the wall. It wasn't just any guy. It was Julian, the heir to a massive real estate empire, and arguably the most sought-after guy on our campus. He had just arrived at the
club.
I'm telling you, Julian, don't even bother with them, Chloe sneered, wiping the spilled wine off her chest with a damp napkin. Sydney is a stuck-up, arrogant bitch who thinks her daddy's money makes her a god. And Lexi? Chloe let out a dark, ugly laugh. Lexi is pathetic. She's a literal charity case. I let her hang out with me because I felt sorry for her, but she is so incredibly desperate for male validation. Did you see the way she looked at you when you walked in?
She's a
total slut. Julian raised an eyebrow, looking profoundly uncomfortable. Chloe, I literally just got here. I didn't even look at her. Well, she's looking at you. Chloe snapped, slamming her hand against the wall. Listen to me. You don't want a girl like that. They're all just props, okay? They're fake. They're just soft porn bait for guys like you. And you aren't. Julian asked, his voice deadpan. Me? Chloe stepped closer, running her hand down Julian's chest, her voice dropping into a manipulative purr. I'm different. I actually know how to take care of a man. I just pretend to be the girl's girl because it makes me look
good.
It's brand management, Julian. Girls are incredibly stupid. If you call them pretty and act like you want to protect them, they'll literally die for
you.
It's so easy to manipulate them. She laughed again, a chilling, hollow sound. I use them to get close to the guys I actually want.
Like you.
Why do you think? I surround myself with average, insecure girls like Lexi. It makes me look like an angel, and it ensures there's no competition. In the live chat, absolute pandemonium had broken out. I am vomiting. I am literally vomiting out of pure rage. She admitted it. SHE. Literally admitted to using US as props. Brand management. She thinks our friendships are brand management. I'm the girl who cried on her shoulder last week about my breakup. She told me I was beautiful and strong. I feel so violated right now. Expose her, expose her, expose her, expose her. Lexi, you better ruin this girl's entire life. I stood perfectly still, letting the camera capture every single syllable of her sociopathic monologue. Chloe, Julian finally said, peeling her hand off his chest like it was a diseased rat. You are completely insane. He shoved past her and walked down the hall, disappearing into the crowd. Chloe stood there alone in the dark alcove, her face twisting into a mask of pure, unhinged fury. She kicked the wall, screaming a stream of vile, misogynistic slurs that would have made a sailor blush. I slipped back to the booth before she could see me. When I walked in, Sydney looked up. Her eyes met mine. She didn't have to ask. She saw the cold, dead look in my eyes and knew we had the footage. Are we ready? Sydney whispered as I sat down. We're ready, I replied quietly. But let's make it cinematic. Sydney pulled out her phone and tapped the screen a few times. My family's tech company designed the AV software for this entire club. Give me 30 seconds. 5 minutes later, Chloe finally returned to the booth. She had managed to clean the wine off her corset and touched up her makeup. She plastered the sickeningly sweet smile back onto her face, as if the psychotic break in the hallway had never happened. Sorry I took so long, guys. Chloe chirped, sliding into the booth next to Mark. She immediately hooked her arm through his. The bathroom line was crazy. Did I miss anything? Not much, Sydney said cheerfully. We were just talking about how much we love your whole vibe, Chloe. You're just such a supportive friend. Chloe beamed, completely oblivious to the trap snapping shut around her ankle. Sydney, that means so much coming from you. I just really believe that women need to lift each other up, you know? The world is so hard on us. We have to be each other's safe space. A safe space, I repeated, my voice devoid of emotion. Exactly. Chloe leaned over and grabbed my hand. Like you and me, Lexi, we're sisters. Right at that exact second, the deafening bass of the club abruptly cut out. The heavy, thumping EDM music died, leaving the massive venue in a state of confused silence. People on the dance floor stopped moving. The DJ stood in his booth, frantically pressing buttons on his deck, looking totally lost. What happened to the music? Mark muttered, looking around. Probably just a blown fuse, Chloe said, rolling her eyes. Ugh, this place is so ghetto. Suddenly, the massive LED screens surrounding the club, the ones usually playing trippy, kaleidoscopic visuals, flickered. They all went black. Then, a massive, crystal-clear video feed popped onto every single screen in the venue. It was a close-up shot of Chloe, pinned against the wall in the dim alcove. The audio, piped directly through the club's $1 million surround sound system, echoed with terrifying clarity. Lexi is pathetic. She's a literal charity case. She is so incredibly desperate for male validation. Chloe's body went rigidly stiff. The color instantly drained from her face, leaving her looking like a freshly embalmed corpse. She slowly, robotically turned her head toward the massive screen directly above our VIP booth. I just pretend to be the girl's girl because it makes me look good. It's brand management, Julian. Girls are incredibly stupid. I use them to get close to the guys I actually want. Why do you think I surround myself with average, insecure girls like Lexi? It makes me look like an angel, and it ensures there's no competition. The silence in the club was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop. Hundreds of people, including half of our university's student body, were staring up at the screens in collective shock. The broadcast looped. It didn't just play once. It played the most damning parts, over and over again. Girls are incredibly stupid. They're all just props. Soft porn bait. Inside the booth, Mark physically recoiled from Chloe, yanking his arm away from her as if she were radioactive. The other guys in the booth stared at her with a mixture of disgust and horror. What is this? Chloe stammered, her voice shaking violently. She stood up, her eyes wide with terror. This is a deepfake. Someone deepfaked me. Julian, tell them. Tell them this isn't real. Julian, who had been standing near the bar, looked up at the screen, then looked directly at Chloe. He didn't say a word. He just shook his head in disgust and walked out of the club. Turn it off. Chloe screamed, covering her ears. Turn it off. She looked at Sydney, her eyes wild and feral. You did this. You hacked the screens. You jealous bitch. You ruined me. Sydney didn't flinch. She elegantly crossed her legs and took a sip of champagne. I didn't film it, Chloe. I just provided the venue. Chloe's head snapped toward me. She looked at my collar. For the first time, she noticed the tiny metallic glint of the lens hidden in the fabric of my dress. You, Chloe gasped, stumbling backward. You've been filming me? I stood up slowly. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just looked at her with the cold, detached pity one reserves for a squashed bug. Hello, everyone, I said, speaking clearly into the microphone on my collar. Knowing my voice was now echoing through the entire club and to the thousands of people watching the stream. I am the campus whistleblower, Lexi. The crowd on the dance floor gasped. People began pulling out their phones, recording the scene in the VIP booth. For the past year, Chloe has meticulously built a brand on the backs of the women she secretly despises, I continued, staring dead into Chloe's eyes.
She
has manipulated, degraded, and emotionally abused her peers, all while hiding behind a mask of faux feminism. Shut up. Shut up. Chloe lunged at me, her fingers hooked into claws, aiming right for my face. But before she could even cross the table, two massive bouncers materialized out of thin air, grabbing her by the arms and dragging her backward.
Sydney had
clearly prepared for the physical fallout. Let me go. Chloe thrashed like a wild animal, her perfectly styled hair completely unraveling, the red wine stain on her corset making her look like a horror movie villain. Lexi, I will kill you. You're nothing. You're a fake Hermes wearing, cheap, ugly little bitch. And yet, I said softly, leaning into the mic, everyone is looking at me.
And
everyone is disgusted by you. I reached up and unclipped the camera from my collar, holding it up for the entire club to see. To the girls in the stream, I said, addressing my hidden audience. You are not props. You are not stepping stones for narcissists. If someone demands your loyalty but only gives you transactional compliments in return, run. I looked at Chloe one last time. She was sobbing uncontrollably now, her makeup running down her face in dark, muddy streaks, entirely stripped of her power, her brand, and her dignity. Broadcast terminated, I said. And with a single click, the live stream ended, and the club screens went dark. The aftermath was a bloodbath. By the time the sun came up the next morning, Chloe was gone. She didn't return to the dorm. According to the campus rumor mill, she packed her bags in the middle of the night and had her parents drive out to pick her up. The university administration was flooded with hundreds of emails from furious students demanding her expulsion for violating the code of conduct, citing multiple instances of targeted harassment that had been brought to light during the live stream chat. The Greek council immediately revoked her sorority membership. The Chloe fan clubs dissolved overnight. The brands that had sent her PR packages based on her girl's girl aesthetic dropped her faster than I could blink. Social death. Total, absolute, irrecoverable social death. I was sitting in the campus coffee shop the next afternoon, stirring a latte, reading an article on the local news blog about the whistleblower event that had shaken the university. The chair across from me slid out. Sydney sat down, placing her authentic Hermes bag on the table. She looked as immaculate as ever, wearing oversized sunglasses and a crisp white blazer. So, Sydney said, leaning back. She officially withdrew this morning. Claimed severe mental health issues and transferred to a school out of state. I figured she would, I replied, not looking up from my phone. She couldn't survive here without her worshippers. Sydney watched me for a long moment. You know, for someone who just successfully orchestrated the greatest social assassination in campus history, you look remarkably bored. I locked my phone and met her gaze. Chloe was small potatoes, Sydney. She was just a cruel girl with a superiority complex. Dealing with her was a chore, not a challenge. Sydney lowered her sunglasses, her sharp eyes locking onto mine. You mentioned something in the restroom yesterday. Before I told you about my access to the app, I remained silent. You asked if I was a truth seeker for this world, Sydney continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. You said it was a nickname you gave yourself.
But
I'm not stupid, Lexi. I did some digging into the app's backend logs last
night.
My hand froze on my coffee cup. The encryption protocol you used for that hidden camera, it's military grade, Sydney said. It bypassed our standard security filters effortlessly. And the IP address of the server hosting your stream?
It bounced
through 7 different countries before anchoring in a dark web hub. She leaned forward, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming against the table. You aren't just some disgruntled roommate, Lexi. And Truth Seeker isn't just a nickname. It's a network. The TR organization. You target people, specifically people in positions of social or institutional power who abuse their platforms. I took a slow sip of my latte. The coffee was bitter. You have a very active imagination, Sydney. Do I? Sydney smirked, because I also noticed that the star quarterback, the one whose girlfriend Chloe insulted yesterday, just got anonymous files leaked too. The athletic director proving he's been running an illegal sports betting ring out of the locker room. She raised an eyebrow. Another one of your chores? I set the cup down. The warm morning sunlight filtered through the cafe windows, illuminating the dust motes floating in the air. Let me give you a piece of advice, Sydney, I said, my voice dropping its casual tone, adopting the cold, clinical cadence of the whistleblower. Curiosity is a wonderful trait, but when you start digging into the shadows, you never know what kind of monsters are digging back. Sydney didn't flinch. If anything, her smile grew wider. I like monsters, she said. They make life interesting. She reached into her blazer and slid a sleek, matte black flash drive across the table toward me. Our dean of admissions, Sydney said quietly. He's been accepting offshore wire transfers from wealthy parents to secure spots for their underqualified
Kids.
My father's company stumbled across the financial anomalies during a routine audit of the university's endowment fund. I looked at the drive, then up at Sydney. I can't use it, Sydney explained, leaning back. If my family exposes him, it looks like a corporate power play. But if the campus whistleblower exposes him, it's justice. I stared at the matte black drive. It was a massive escalation. Taking down a toxic influencer roommate was one thing. Taking down a corrupt university official involved millions of dollars and serious legal blowback. It was exactly what I was trained for. I casually reached out, sliding the flash drive off the table and into the pocket of my jacket. I guess I'll need a new roommate anyway, I said, a faint smirk playing on my lips. The dorm is awfully quiet now. Sydney laughed, standing up and grabbing her bag. I'll have my bags moved in by tomorrow, she said. And Lexi, next time you need a disguise, let me handle the makeup. She turned and walked out of the coffee shop, turning heads as she went. I sat there for a moment, feeling the weight of the flash drive in my pocket.
I
pulled out my phone, opening the secure, encrypted terminal hidden behind a fake calculator app. I typed a single message to Control. Target 01 eliminated. Asset acquired. Proceeding to Target 02. I hit send, finished my coffee, and walked out into the sunlight. The campus was
peaceful today.
But beneath the surface, the rot was still spreading. And the whistleblower was just getting started.